Demand number 12 on this list out of Denver. The city must schedule a meeting with the mayor and those directly involved in running the newcomer program ASAP to discuss further improvements and ways to support migrants. This is demand number 12 on this list of 13 demands that were submitted in Denver by a group of migrants that they say the city must obey before they leave their packed encampment and head into shelters. It's pretty ballsy, for lack of a better word. So, I'm just kind of looking for an update on all that. The mayor of Kansas City is here on KCMO. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. It's been a little bit since we asked you about this. So where are we at after Denver, this news out of Denver, 13 demands from some of these migrants that they must obey, the city must obey before they leave the encampment. Where are we at on your end with this news that came down about 3 weeks ago from the Bloomberg article?
Well, I know nothing about the list of demands. You're informing me of something new. I really don't know a lot about the current situation in Denver. Haven't visited with anyone over there for some time, other than our office confirming they're not sending anyone over here to Kansas City. And so, I think that for us, really nothing has happened. Nothing has changed. What we do is what we do usually in Kansas City. First of all, the city of Kansas City doesn't process any type of migrants or other issues to the extent undocumented persons come in touch with any authorities, be it our school districts, our police departments, and others. Then they deal with them in the individual ways that the laws require. But, the city of Kansas City has no information about that.
Okay.
Generally, what we try to do more broadly is to make sure for largely people who are here lawfully, tourists and beyond, that we're a city where you can find a website that's in different languages. We do have that capability. That if we have residents and citizens who call and look for things in different languages, they can find them and talk to people in different languages. So that's where we are. I don't know anything really about the individual situation with which Denver is dealing. I will say this is a bizarre season in American politics, although maybe it happens all the time, that you have people putting out these lists of demands, whether it's been on college campuses or people in encampments. I remember we had some encampments around Kansas City relating to other issues, and I don't usually deal with those. I have a view of there are rules to follow, there are laws to follow. You follow them, you go through the steps, you call us lawfully, you schedule an appointment, you can set up a phone call. That's how we get things done. I would encourage that for anybody who wants to talk to me or people from Kansas City. And I'd also encourage that the mayor of Denver put the line down and say, there's a lawful way to call me, get in touch with me and the people of this government. What we're not doing is having some sort of extortion type attempt.
Well, I totally agree. And I think most people listening would probably agree with that sentiment as well. But wouldn't you say that many politicians, and I would argue, your office as well, allowed some of that to fester for too long? I remember when there were tents out on the lawn of City Hall, 3-4 years ago now, basically trying to shake you guys down. And I think that there were the kid gloves were out from the city's end. Do you regret some of that, leading the city through some of that and how it went down?
Regrets, I have a few, but then again, too few to mention. Generally, over the last several years, you learn from every possible experience. In every situation that I have a chance to talk to other mayors, and I was with mayors and police chiefs in Fort Worth, Texas, on Monday, so not some big progressive bastion, but people from all different types of places around the world. I think you always speak clearly, quickly, and efficiently. If you recall the City Hall encampment, I actually was one who wanted to see that moved faster. There was some disagreement among the elected officials in Kansas City. That's fine. That's behind us now. But, I do think that you clearly need to say in all situations, step one, laws are enforced. Step two, if there is a disagreement as to laws, if you want to change laws, if you want to do other things, there are ways to handle it afterwards. But actually, and I don't think he'll be mad at me sharing this, when the police chief of KCK, Carl Oakman, was a deputy chief at the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, he told me a line that stuck with me for all the years since, which was, you don't play court at 2 a.m. on the side of the road. You follow the rules. And so, I think that's what he would recommend to any suspects with which he dealt over a career of 30-plus years of law enforcement. And that's what I would recommend to anybody. So, no, I do think, and I would recommend to every single mayor, every university president, everyone. People have to follow the rules, and they don't get some sort of benefit by, saying to heck with you all and we're not leaving. One other thing that I think you see in a lot of these situations, I wonder, look, I respect everybody. Everybody around the world has their agency and identities and what have you. Do you really think? I don't think that this list was just written by some people who've been down on their luck and have traversed from Central America and South America and put it all together. I imagine there are some organizers, there are others who are trying to use these people for their own political ends. You have seen that in Kansas City in the past with homelessness issues. I think you're seeing this in a lot of our purportedly pro-Palestinian protests, where you have figures who have, in many ways, absolutely no connection to the issues, claiming it as their own. And while alliances have always been important for every issue ever, I always have my antenna rise a bit when I start to see a whole bunch of other people who I'm saying, wait a second, are you thinking about Venezuelans? Are you thinking about, somebody else? Are you thinking about, I'm the biggest, loudest activist in Denver, Kansas City, St. Louis, who knows where? And I think that's what that mayor may be facing now.
I think that is certainly part of the case. And yes, Carl Oakman certainly doing good work over there in KCK, no doubt about it. Mayor Lucas is on KCMO Talk Radio. All right, we saw some news here in the last few days, and we're going to talk to the police chief about this coming up in a little more detail, but there are plans for some of the entertainment districts this summer, school letting out, making sure that people are safe in some of these areas. We've certainly covered and talked with you about some of the issues on the plaza in particular. How do you feel like law enforcement should be handling some of your entertainment districts this summer, where there have been, unfortunately, some high-profile criminal issues here? And obviously that's hurt some of these districts as well.
Again, rules matter. People often tell me about the fact that, well, really, if there is a shooting relating to teenagers by one of our entertainment districts, it's our collective faults, and we need to do 1,000 other things and what have you. Okay, we'll continue to do better, and we work hard to do better each day. But, I remember growing up, and I remember a lot of kids that I knew growing up. And some people say, well, Key, you went to a private school. All right, cut me out. But I remember running track at places like Central High School when I was a kid. I remember knowing a bunch of other kids. There were lots of young people who did not have every resource known to man, and who do not have every resource known to man today, who are not engaged in criminality, who are not engaged in malarkey, and frankly, who are trying to do the right things. And there are other kids who are not. There are those who are carrying firearms. There are those who are not listening to instructions. There are those who don't listen to employees of restaurants and establishments who are saying, you can't be here. And I think we need to make sure and make clear that that's not tolerated. You go during the summer to any number of venues, whether they be in the inner city or the suburbs. You can go to the AMC Town Center 20 in Leawood, Kansas, and see three police cars parked out front when kids may congregate, to make sure that there is some deterrent aspect to saying you're not going to start whatever you may want to do here. You need to see that same sort of presence on the plaza. I commend Chief Graves for speaking to that. I'm one who believes that a stronger presence is a better one. I would like to see the police mounted patrol return, which I think was an important enforcement tool in our entertainment districts, and a great many people, I think, liked it, appreciated it, and understood why they were there. And I think we need to be clear about this. Look, Kansas City government will spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars this year on creating employment opportunities for young people. The last budget, we vastly increased our expenditures on community action centers where young people can get involved, young adults can get involved. We care a lot about having all of that. But what I don't think any of us should tolerate is any of this nonsense that goes on in certain types of places. And, I think it is an important time for the chief to say, the police department's role at the very least is to say, we're not going to stand for it. We're not going to deal with it. And if you're breaking a law, whether you're, 15 or 50 or 80, then, what? You will deal with certain consequences in Kansas City.
Mayor Lucas on KCMO, you just used a word there that certainly is a popular word by the President of the United States, malarkey. And there is a report here in the last couple of days that your name is floated around for HUD Secretary, Housing and Urban Development. Have you had conversations with this administration about being the next HUD Secretary?
I have the good fortune of talking to this administration all the time. I don't share all of our conversations other than to say I appreciate this president and their service. And I look forward to continuing to support them through November. And I have I've been elected mayor of Kansas City through 2027. We've talked about it before, and I'm very excited about World Cups and everything to figure out between now and then.
Okay, that's Quinton Lucas on KCMO. But just to touch on that one more time and ask you this follow-up question. When it comes to any job in Washington, D.C., have you told them no? I know you say you plan to be Kansas City mayor, but are you in a position where if the right job came along, that is at least of interest to you and you would at least listen?
I love being mayor of Kansas City. I don't think there's a better job out there. I'm excited to have this one. I'm not, actively running for a different position, actively seeking different positions, but I certainly love serving my city, state, and my country, and whatever is in the cards in connection with that, I'll make sure that's right for my family and the people of this great city.
All right. Mayor Lucas, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Have a great day.
Thanks, sir.
All right. That is Quinton Lucas on KCMO Talk Radio.